I'm Mackayla. Welcome to the Soundtrack of Our Lives podcast. We're going to jump right in with the two hardest questions of all. Who are you and what have you been up to recently?
All right. Hey everyone, I'm Syante. I'm a singer-songwriter, and by singer-songwriter I mean I sing and I write. My genre is pop rock, because singer-songwriter is a genre in itself. Don't
Hmm.
want to confuse with that. I also play the guitar and keys. And what have I been up to? Well, playing a lot of shows. Had a show yesterday. I have a few new songs coming out, so in the process of doing a lot of, content creation and thinking of ideas as to how to market that, and in the final stages of finishing up the recording processes, mixing, mastering of the other songs. So yeah, that's what I've been up to.
That's a lot. You've been busy.
I try.
Yeah, so you mentioned you've been playing a lot of shows recently. Do you have any
Yes.
particular shows that stand out for you as more memorable than others, or ones that, were, would say are favorites that you've played?
I would say in general, I love playing with a full band. I
Hmm.
do all kinds of shows, like small coffee shops. It's usually just me and the guitar. If it's a bigger venue, I try to play with a full band. And the dynamic is always so different with a full band. Like everyone brings their energy, and it's just like so different versus me just feeding off of my energy.
Hmm.
So I always love playing with a full band, even if it's to an empty room. Honestly, it's just different. You just feel like giving it your all, just because you have a band and a full group of people behind you who are doing the same thing that you're doing, and they're like playing your music. So I just feel like it feels different, and I
Yeah.
I feel like I'm encouraged to just give it my all when I
Hmm.
have a band playing with me versus just by myself. I was looking back at a few videos of me and another guitarist playing. It was just the two of us, and the songs sounded very different, given that in the recordings it's usually like very well produced and there's a lot of instrumentation. So when it's like super stripped down, it usually I usually don't prefer it that way, but I was looking at the videos of us playing together, me and the guitarist, and it sounded pretty dope, I thought. So I found that interesting because usually I prefer a full band arrangement, but that was the very first time I was like, ooh, the stripped down versions sound cool too.
So yeah, there's just so much more energy to feed off of with a band behind you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that.
So for somebody who has never seen you live, what could they expect?
Ooh, I get compared to Avril Lavigne, Olivia Rodrigo a lot. So, a little bit of pop punk, pop rock, that kind of vibe, for sure. That's what a lot of my recordings sound like too. And here's one thing I tell to people about my live versions, like it's never the same. So you got to come to all of my shows to experience something unique. And
Of
also when I do
course.
covers, yeah, exactly. And also when I do covers, I never repeat a cover. I try to throw
Ooh.
in a cover every now and then, but you will never catch me repeating a cover twice. So if I do a cover at a show, that's the only time I'm ever going to do it. So just letting you know, I repeat some of my originals. I also play a lot of unreleased songs, so some of which will be released in this future, some of which will never see the light of day. So you never know what you're going to expect when you come to my shows. I always play the crowd favorites, but there's always surprises.
So how do you pick your covers then if you never repeat? Because that's got to be so many of them.
I know. I just go with what feels good to me and what I know my audience is gonna like, depending on who's coming. Like if it's a
Mhm.
lot of college students, Gen Z folks, then obviously something like Taylor Swift will do great. It depends on the crowd, really.
Of course.
And I love Taylor Swift, so I love covering her songs. They're so fun to do, especially her like 1989 Red era songs.
Mhm.
Such fun boppy tunes. So stuff like that I enjoy, and I feel like it'll be a good vibe to get everyone hyped up.
Yeah.
Something that everyone knows. I try not to go with the super niche stuff.
Hmm.
With covers, it's like you want to have the audience sing along with you and like be in the moment together. So I always go with stuff that's like pretty well known and stuff that I resonate with.
Hmm. So if you're playing some of your unreleased music that will never be released, why are you
Yeah.
playing it live then? If you don't want people to hear it or
Well, I want people to hear it and tell me what you think about it. If you think I should release it, if someone comes up to me and is like, I want to listen to that song again, you should release it, I will give it a thought. I will be like, okay, maybe I should release it. It's just that I have so many songs. I have like
Mhm.
hundreds of songs. I just can't release all of them. It's a lot of time and resources I got to put in to like release all of them.
Yeah.
So I just pick the ones. I ask my producers and my collaborators to be like, hey, which ones do you think are the strongest? Which ones can we like pick and then work on? So they usually do the picking because they're all my babies. I love all of them.
Hmm.
So, which is why during live shows, I'm like, well, you're going to hear the recordings of all these songs, but there are also these songs which may or may not ever see the light of day. So you listen to it and you be the judge. Tell me if you want to listen to it again. If so, I will make a recording. If not, we'll just leave it.
So, how many do you think you'll eventually end up releasing? You want to release all of them at some point, or what does that look like for you?
The more I write, like I look back at the songs I wrote like a year ago, and at the time I loved them, but now I
Hmm.
look back and I'm like, eh. And I feel like that's almost every artist with their older catalog. So it really, in the moment when I'm writing new stuff, I'm like, ooh, I'm super hyped about this, which is why I run it by a lot of other people
Hmm.
because I will always be hyped about my stuff. So they usually tell me, hey, this has potential. Let's work on this. Or, you know what, I'm gonna like, let's pass on that one. So it's usually me bouncing off of their thoughts and feedback as well, the people I work with. So yeah.
Hmm.
Does that answer your question?
It does. It
Or
does. It makes
okay.
sense. Yeah. So, when you sit down to write a song, what does that process look like for you?
Ooh, oh my God, it's so complicated. There's so many different ways a song starts. Like there's so many little song seeds. One is when obviously I'm overwhelmed with emotions and I gotta like just let it out. So I do a lot of number one free writing where I'm just like writing whatever comes to my mind. I'm not thinking about rhymes and not thinking about song structure. I'm just writing.
Hmm.
And then later on, when I'm in like the right state of mind and not an emotional mess, I'll go back to it and pick out stuff from that I can put into a song. I'll also sit down at the piano or sit down with my guitar and just play around with chords, notes, see what comes up.
Hmm.
Um, and Another thing I've seen is that when I wake up, right when I wake up, like when you're in that half asleep, half awake state,
Yeah.
I get a lot of melodies, and I've heard that a
Oh.
lot of other people do too. So I just keep my phone next to my bed, and in that half awake, half asleep state, I just like pick up my phone, record voice memos, and then go back to sleep. And then when I come back to it later during the day, I'm like, ooh, that melody sounds cool. Maybe we could work with that. So yeah, there's a bunch of different ways. But honestly, I'm writing all the time because I'm always on the lookout for something interesting that I might hear someone, I might overhear a conversation or I might see something on a billboard that I'm like, ooh, that's cool. I want to put that in a song. So really, it's like I'm always on the lookout for song starters or song seeds.
Hmm. So, with having so many different ways of getting inspired, what would you say are kind of the most unique or, you know, not mainstream ways you've been inspired?
My thing, I feel, is that this is what I tell everyone when I'm like playing at my live shows, or even like when I'm telling people about how I get inspired. I get mad at literally everyone. And I get mad at the silliest and smallest of things, and I'll write a song about that. Like, I got into a fight with my ex landlord once, like my former landlord, and I wrote a song about it, and it sounds like a breakup song, and people love it. That's arguably like the most popular song in my catalog, and people are like, oh my God, yeah, it's about heartbreak, it's about a breakup. I'm like, no, not really, but that's like my thing. I'll like take silly stupid little arguments I have with people, then I get mad at them, and then I'll make a very elaborate arrangement about it, make it seem like a very painful heartbreak, but it could be just a random little thing. But I feel like I love to dramatize different arguments and little petty things that I get into, and a lot of my songs are pretty like aggressive, getting mad at people, but also like empowerment in a way, because you do get hurt, angry, upset, sad at people, but then
Yeah.
what do you do with it? right? You just have to let it go somehow. And for me, that's through music. So that catharsis and also the empowerment that comes with it, that, that comes with letting go
Hmm.
and just realizing that it's for your own good that you're letting go. And it's okay to like feel these emotions and then release them either by shouting them out at a concert, writing a song about it, or whatever way it is. I feel like that's my thing.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of dramatizes the little things that happen. Like you tell
Right.
your best friend, your roommate, whoever it is, you're like, oh my God, you cannot believe what happened today.
Exactly. And I feel like, yeah, I feel like now that you say it, I'm like, everyone does that, I'm sure. It's just that I feel like I exaggerate it a lot, but I'm sure everyone does.
It's the little things that just like if it just the right moment it hits you and it just really bothers you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We
Exactly.
all have those little things.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that you're
And
then able to put it into a song and make it a beautiful story.
absolutely. Because I feel like a lot of my friends and the people I write with and work with, they are always writing about romantic relationships. I don't have a lot going on in my life when it comes to that realm, which is why I'm like, okay, that seems to be a relatable concept. But at the same time, I have different kinds of relationships that I get mad at. And,
Yeah.
I have different, like, it's different dynamics, but it's like similar relationships. So I draw from those and then I try to frame it as like, well, people can read into it in whichever
Hmm.
way they want. So if they want to look at it as a romantic relationship, they could. But for me, I frame it in a way that's pretty open ended. You can interpret it in whatever way you want.
Yeah, I think that's a common thing. People forget that not all songs are about relationships or about romantic relationships because there's so many kinds of relationships.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mostly I'm inspired by those different kinds of relationships for me because in my romantic life I don't have anything going on really. So for me, if you hear a song that you think is about a romantic relationship, it very likely is not. But I framed it in such a way that you can take it in whatever way you want.
I think that's really unique that you're deciding to leave it open-ended like that.
Mm-hmm. And I explicitly tell people, hey, this was about this. And I have this little thing where I ask people to guess what the inspiration was, and no one has ever guessed any of my songs' inspirations correctly because it's like so random and so out of the ordinary. But if you would listen to it, you'd think it was about an ex or about a friend or something that you can relate with.
Hmm.
That's what I try to do. I try to like keep it in a way so that you can put whatever picture you want and think of whoever you want to when you listen to the song.
And I think that's the magic of music that you can kind of frame whatever you're hearing to your own life.
Yeah. And the more I do this, the more I realize it's about the feeling. It's about what you feel and what comes up and who you're thinking of when you listen to the song.
Hmm. So I know you said that you're working on some music right now. Can you tell us anything about that?
Absolutely. I've played some of these songs live at my shows, so I'll tell you whatever you need to know. I'll tell you a little bit about well, I've got like 5 songs in the works, so there's a lot going on. One of these, I don't know if I should dead well I'll give it away. So we face a lot of rejection all the time, especially in the music industry. It's almost like you have to like keep going and then you keep applying to different things and then you just get an email saying thank you for applying. We appreciate your time and effort. I got one of these emails once and I was mad and I was like, you don't really care. Like, you
Hmm.
don't give a shit about whether I apply. Like, if you would have really cared, you would have selected me. Don't just send me these emails. And for me, I felt like I apply to so many of these that I forget. And
Hmm.
when they send me like a rejection letter like that, I'm like, that's like salt in the wound. I didn't even remember that I'd applied. Why'd you have to do that? So I got mad when I like got one of those letters and I was like my default response was like F you.
Hmm.
I'm I'm trying to keep it PG friendly because I know that like this is for everyone. So I went into the studio and I was like telling my songwriter, my co-writers this, and they were like, well, let's write a song about it. So the song is called Get Lost. And it was inspired by this irritation, this frustration of always trying to be like good enough for someone
Hmm.
or something, but you never are. And then what do you do? So it comes from that like anger, that irritation, that annoyance that even is like very valid in relationships where you're like
Yeah.
working hard, you're putting in your best, but you're never good enough for the other person.
Hmm.
And for me, it was these opportunities and all these festivals and whatever. They're like, please apply, and then you apply and they're like, well, you're not good enough or you're not a good fit or whatever. And sure, it may be true, but whatever, it hurts.
Yeah.
So yeah, the song is about that. It's about, there's a lot of anger and a lot of like release of pent up emotions.
Hmm.
It's like, you know I'm never gonna be good enough for you, so what do I do about it? Get lost. I don't need you. So yeah, it's like the opportunity was not a good fit for me. It hurts, but it just
Hmm.
was not a good fit for me. Whatever.
Yeah, if they don't want you, screw them. Get
Yeah,
lost.
exactly. Yeah. That was the vibe. The initial title of the song was like "fuck you," but we wanted to keep it PG friendly, so we changed it to "Get Lost" because "Get Lost" still has that like that emotion behind it without necessarily needing it to be like you know as vulgar as the other
Hmm.
one. But maybe I'll have a live version where I'm like singing the actual words, and then the radio friendly version would be Get Lost. But that's the name of the song and that's the story behind it.
I like it. That's a good story. I think everyone has gotten one of those emails, whether it's a job, college, whatever.
Yeah.
And most of them are just automatic. Like, nobody actually sat there and wrote that email.
Exactly. And then in the email, they're trying to be like so nice to you. And I'm like, you don't care. Why are you trying to do this?
Right.
It
Like,
just, yeah, it feels so facetious to me. It's like you're just trying to like still maintain a good relationship and you want me to keep applying year after year. I mean, I understand I need to get better and then apply again. But at this same time, in the moment, you're like, okay, so you're telling me that I'm not good enough for you.
mhm.
It just stings, you know?
Like at least give and like feedback, whether it's like a job, say like, oh, we went with somebody who had more experience in this thing. Or like for a festival, oh, we loved this song, but we felt that maybe you need to maybe work on this bit of it. Or
Yeah,
like to show that
no.
they actually listened or cared.
Yeah, no, that never happens. They're like, we had
No.
way too many applications, and at this time, we're unable to give you personalized feedback. All right, whatever. I mean, I get their perspective, but at the same time, I'm like,
It's
man,
impersonal.
it's just, yeah, the emails always seem very facetious to me. It's like you did not put, like, you don't really care, but at the same time, you're trying to come across like you care, which I find super weird. That's
Right.
just me.
It's just like such a generic email. Like
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And what pisses me off is that I often forget about these things and I'm like, well, if I don't hear back, it's like automatically I assume that I yeah, I didn't get in, but
right.
whatever. I know some people want to know. I was telling my friend about this and she was like, but there are some people who really want to know and they look forward to like hearing back. I'm like, hearing back about what? The rejection? I don't get it.
I know. I got one from a job I applied to like a year ago the other day. I'm like, I forgot I applied. Like, I look back, I'm like, this was a year ago. I assumed I didn't get the position.
Yeah. You
I'm
just
like,
move on, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, they just send you something, and they're like, "Oh, you fucking loser! You are such a pathetic loser." That's how I read it, and I'm like, "You didn't have to like tell me that. I just forgot about you and I moved on."
you've probably picked somebody between now and the time you've told me. So, like, you could have told me a while ago.
Exactly. It's yeah.
It's a crazy world out there.
Yeah, it's insane. But that's one of the songs that's gonna come out soon. I it's also one of the songs that I perform very frequently in my live shows because I love to get the call response thing with the audience going, and they
Hmm.
love that. So yeah, I shout "Get Lost," they shout "Get Lost." So it's a cool little back and forth that we do in live shows that works out really well.
That's fun. So, before I ask the last question, was there anything else you wanted to mention or talk about?
No, like I said, I have new songs coming out. If you're in the LA area, I play a lot of live shows at a lot of different venues all around town. So I would say keep your eyes out on either my website or my Instagram. I post on both places, about my live shows. And yeah, a lot of new music coming out.
It's so exciting.
Thank you.
So, our last question is, what is the soundtrack of your life?
Ooh, that's a hard one. There's so many. That's really a hard question, you know? What's
Hmm.
yours?
Um,
If you don't
right
mind me
now
asking.
it's probably like the theme song of The Office because I listen to that to fall asleep. I just like play the episodes.
Ooh, okay. That sounds fun. Huh. I wonder what. Well, I would say the soundtrack of A Star is Born has always been one of my favorites. Like, I felt like that's such a departure from what Lady Gaga is known for. And
Hmm.
I know she like did that for a little bit and then went back to what she was known for with Mayhem. I love Mayhem, but it's just that with that specific soundtrack of that movie, that specific era of Lady Gaga, it's like so beautiful and it's like so different from what she
Hmm.
does. And I don't normally listen to or even do that kind of music, but that's just something like every song in that soundtrack is like so good. It's like it
Yeah,
hits a raw nerve in like a good way.
I
Like every
agree.
time I listen to those songs, it just makes you feel something you it just makes you feel something new every time
Yeah.
you listen to it. It just takes on a different meaning. And it's gut wrenching, especially when you listen to the soundtrack with the movie, like the
Hmm.
story. But
Yeah.
even by itself, it's like it paints a beautiful picture. And I think that if I were to like think about one of the timeless evergreen soundtracks that I love, Always Remember Us This Way, Shallow, what else? Heal Me. I love all those tracks. But also recently with the Hannah Montana thing going on, I am a big Disney girl, grew up with
Hmm.
a lot of that. So of course, going back to a lot of the Disney era musical stuff, that
It's
was a big
so
influence for me.
different now. Disney is not as good as it was.
I know. I keep telling people that. I feel like an old grandma, like, the people who are like, oh, you don't know the music of our times. It was like so good. I feel like that, those people telling it. But it's like the late 2000s and early 2010s, man, like Hannah Montana era, Miley, and then Wizards of Waverly Place, the Sonny with the Chance, all of that. So
Right.
good.
And
So
then
yeah,
it just went
definitely.
downhill from there.
Right? I have a song called Downhill. It's the Landlord song. That's funny. But yeah, I agree. I've been listening to a lot of my the Hannah Montana era stuff. Makes me very nostalgic because that was what I was listening to growing up. So it takes me back to my school days, and I have not been in touch with a lot of the friends that I used to be very close with at the time, and I don't even know where to look for them. So yeah, it's been a lot of reminiscing, a lot of nostalgia with all of this going on. So definitely listening to a lot of Hannah Montana recently.
It's fun. I love listening to music that like brings you back.
Right? It like literally takes you back to school, at least for me, and
Mhm.
it like makes me think of the time we used to like karaoke together, like my friends and I, and like at parties we used to sing along, or even in the class. So
Mhm.
yeah, definitely very very nostalgic, and it just hits you different.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the era that we're in right now is like the nostalgia era. Everyone's like into
Yeah,
that. I'm like, I feel like
yeah.
that says a lot about the world if everyone's like feeling nostalgia for how it used to be.
I know, like you want to go back to the past. It's sad, but it's comforting too.
Right. Yeah. So for
Yeah.
everyone who wants to stay updated on you, maybe see you live, hear your new music when it comes out, where can they find you?
Absolutely. All streaming platforms, all socials. I even have a website. You can just honestly type in the name that you see on the screen, Syante, is the spelling of my artist name. And my social media handles are a little different. It's SAY_AUNTY, like phonetically how you would spell say my name, say auntie. Gets people to remember it all the time. But yeah, you can find information about my upcoming shows on my Instagram and also my website, which is my name, SYANTE dot lovable.app. But it's all linked on my Instagram, so I would say the best way to go is to go to my Instagram and then find everything on there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Of course, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Of course. Have a nice rest of your day.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.